Alright, today's lesson is going to be counting atoms. We learned the other day about the difference between an element, an atom, a molecule, and a compound, and now you are going to put them all together. So let's use a little bit of our Caesar's English. Here we have the word subscript, and if we take that word apart, sub is going to mean under, and script is going to mean number. So in this case, the word subscript is going to mean the number under the letter. So if you look right here, we have C6H12O6. This is actually sugar, and if you notice, this right here, this 6 is a subscript, this 12 is a subscript, and this 6 is also a subscript. And that tells you how many of each element you have. So let's write that down over here. So in this case, this compound has 6 carbon, 12 hydrogen, and 6 oxygen atoms to make it up. So one rule you need to remember down here is if there is an element or a molecule or a compound and it doesn't have a number next to it, that means the number is 1. So for instance, if you just see the letter C all by itself, there's no subscript down here, that means there is just 1 carbon atom. So that's pretty simple. And now we're going to get a little more difficult. So moving down, second rule here is the parentheses rule. Parentheses tell us to multiply. So whenever you see them, just like math, you're going to multiply the elements together with their subscript. So in our example today, we have Mg paired up with OH2. Now we have to use both of the rules. We have to go back up here and remember the subscript rule of Mg. There isn't one there, so that's going to mean 1. And then we are going to forget about the Mg for a second, and let's look at OH2. So we have written here for you that O would be 1 and H would be 1. Now this 2 on the outside, this subscript, means it multiplies with everything on the inside. So when writing this, you would have 1 magnesium, and then you would do 2 times 1 would give you 2 oxygen, and 2 times 1 would give you 2 hydrogen. So let's say you have this element, Cu, and then PO4. We have copper out here all by itself, and then we have phosphorus and oxygen. So the 4 only goes with the parentheses. Copper is like covered up out here. It's like it's not there. So you have copper is 1, phosphorus would actually equal 4, because we have 1 phosphorus times 4, and oxygen times 4. So 1 oxygen times 4 would give you 4. So that's pretty easy there. And then we're going to take it a step even farther with rule number 3. Rule number 3 deals with the coefficient. So co means it goes with, and in this case, efficient, everything. Okay, so notice it says your coefficients are going to multiply by each subscript in the formula. So let's look down here at our example. So we have 3H3PO4. Now, this 3 gets multiplied by everything behind it, every single thing. So you would do 3 times 3 H's, which is going to give you 9. 3 times 1 phosphorus, because remember, there's not a subscript here, so it's 1. So that's going to give you 3. And then 3 times oxygen, O4, which means 12 oxygen. Now, coefficients help us by identifying compounds. So what this is really going to mean is you're going to have 3 of this compound floating around. So that's basically telling you you have 3 individual compounds. It basically saves you time from writing it down, H3PO4, H3PO4, H3PO4. It is saving you time. So let's add into this number 3. We drew our arrow up there at the top, but we're going to do it again. And we are going to say multiplies with everything. And that is everything behind it, including if there were parentheses. And then right here, I want you to write the word coefficient. And I want you to say next to it, tells how many compounds we have. Or molecules, it could be molecules too. Alright, so you're going to take this information today and you are going to use that to count out how many of each are in these compounds or molecules. So let's look at number 1. Notice it has a coefficient, so 6NaOH. Now remember, Na is sodium, so it's all alone, capital followed by a lowercase. Then we have a capital, which means it's a new element, so oxygen, and then a capital, so a new element, which is hydrogen. So we're going to write down our elements first. And then we are going to count how many we have. Now, there are no subscripts here, so each one of these is 1, but we have a coefficient of 6, so it multiplies by everything behind it. So it would be 6 times 1, which gives you 6 sodium, 6 times 1 gives you 6 oxygen, and 6 times 1, which gives you 6 hydrogen. So now that we've broken it apart into pieces, now we have to look over here. This says total number of elements. Elements are capital letters, so count your capitals. So in this case, we have 1, 2, 3 elements. And then total number of atoms, that's how many of each we have. So you add them all up. So 6 plus 6 is 12, and then 6 more gives you 18. So you have 18 individual atoms there. Let's go down and look at number 10. So we're going to write our elements down. So we have a capital N, an H with 4, and a Cl. That is an L, not an I. So we're going to write N, H, and Cl. Now this 2 multiplies by everything behind it. So N is alone, so 1 times 2 gives you 2. H has 4, so 4 times 2 gives you 8. And Cl has 1, so that gives you 2. So over here where we're counting capital letters, we have 1, 2, 3 elements. And then our atoms, we're going to add it all up. And we have 2 plus 8 gives us 10. and 2 more gives us 12. And let's do one more. Let's do a parentheses. Let's do number 12. Okay, so number 12 has parentheses, which means this 2 multiplies by everything inside. So first, let's write down our elements. Ca, S, and O. So when you take the 2 and you multiply it by everything inside, Ca is all alone with 1, so 2 times 1 gives you 2. S is all alone, so that means it's 1, so times 2 gives you 2. And then oxygen is telling us we have 4, so then you do 4 times 2, which gives you 8. So again, we have 3 elements, so capital letters, and then our atoms is where we add it all up. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, and you're going to do the rest by yourself. Yours will probably be a digital document. Just open it up, click in the text boxes, and fill in your answers. All right.